Okay, here we go. With checklist.
Check. Can't check that off yet. Been there, that's finished.
I've done lots of things.
Been there, check. Been there, done that. Oops, check. That's finished. Oops, haven't done that. That's finished. That's finished. Check. That's finished. Check. Bin. Check. That's finished. Check. That's finished. Been there, done that. Been there, done that. That's been. Can't check that off yet. Check. Check. That's finished.
I think I need to go back to. Hey, look, a little finger needs to do select. Okay.
Did you get the stuffed parrot?
Here you go. What's it for, anyway?
It's a Minette thing. You wouldn't understand. No one would.
What's with all the red paint that's splattered on the wall in Minette's studio?
I came in one morning last month, and there it was. Minette must have had a bad night.
You didn't ask her about it?
Minette always throws things when she's upset. Remember what happened when you first arrived?
Yep.
Oh yeah, the potted plant. I get your point. Here's that envelope I picked up from JJ. I almost forgot.
No problem.
Why did you write Minette that threatening letter?
What? You think I wrote those letters?
I think you wrote at least one of them.
Can you prove it?
The letters on it match the memo you sent Minette about fonts.
Okay. Couple months ago, I got so fed up with her that I just had to get back at her somehow. I'd seen how upset those other letters made her, so I sent one of my own, but just that one. And I never intended to really do anything to her. I just wanted her to suffer. You know, emotionally.
Do you have any idea who sent her those other letters?
None, I swear. Look, you're not going to tell Minette about this, are you? There's really no need. It'll just upset her all over again. And she's so far behind as it is. And there's no telling how she'd take it out on me. Or on you, for that matter, just for telling her. So don't say anything to her, okay?
I'm gonna have to think about it. I'll see you later. Check.
Let's call people. Six, 1, 4, 5, 6, 0.
Hello? I know you are calling for minutes. Please, tell me. Is this Jing Jing?
No, I'm afraid not. But I know Jing Jing. In fact, I'm staying at her place.
You are the most lucky person in the monde. I am a big fan of Jing Jing. I call her house and leave message. I call Minette because I know she works there, but she will not talk to me. She is too... what is the word? Paranormal?
You mean paranoid?
Yes, paranoid. So, if you are not Jing Jing, why do you call me?
This is Zoo, right?
Yes, I am Zu.
Well, Zoo, my name is Nancy Drew, and I saw a symbol on the wall when I was in an underground passage not too long ago. It looked like 2 leaves with 2 nut-type things attached to them, and I just wondered if you could tell me what it meant or why it was there.
Yes, of course I can. But first, you must have Jing write something for me.
Write something for you?
You must have her write something that I can keep. Have her write, Sue, my love, Jing. Then, take the metro to the Denver Rochereau station, enter the catacombs, find the bones from the Magdalene Cemetery, and put the autograph in the skull below the plaque.
Have her write Zoo, my love, Jing, go to the catacombs, find the Magdalene Cemetery bones, and leave the autograph in a skull.
Yes, exactly that. Don't worry about desecrating the person whose bones they may be. The skull, it is a fake. My friend and I put it there. And so, after you deliver it, you call me and I tell you all about the symbol you saw.
But what if Jing Jing refuses?
Then, Nancy Drew, it seems we will both be very disappointed.
Modern European History, Lynn Manrique.
Hello, my name is Nancy Drew. I'm calling from Paris. Actually, I talked to you earlier when you tried to call Manette.
She's finally calling me back? Wonderful. Please, put her on.
I'd like to, but I'm afraid she's still too busy to talk to you.
Oh,
But if you don't mind, could I ask you a couple of questions about Noisette Tournade?
certainly.
How long did she live in the Moulin, where Manette now has her studio?
She lived there for 55 years, from 1949 to 2004. She sold it when she moved to Provence, which is where she passed away. She never married, you know. Very private person. She served as Paris's director of public works for more than 20 years. Yet not one person has been able to tell me what her favorite color was.
What did she do during the war?
From 1942 until the liberation of Paris, Noisette worked as a translator for the Germans by day and an encoder for the French resistance by night. This, as you might imagine, made everyone suspicious of her, both French and Germans alike. And after the war, things got ugly. Especially when people found out she was romantically involved with a German soldier. His name was Hans von Schwesterkrank.
You're kidding me. Was he by any chance related to Deiter von Schwesterkrank, the fashion photographer?
I'm afraid I have no idea. Hans left Paris right after the war and never
Well, isn't that a
returned,
great
leaving
uncle
Noisette
named
to fend for
Hans?
herself. She was tried as a collaborator in 1946 and acquitted, but the experience left her quite bitter. You see, some people said that during the war she took various pieces of artwork, mostly from churches, and stashed them away somewhere so they wouldn't fall into enemy hands.
That sounds pretty heroic to me.
Well, some people said she stole them for herself, and unfortunately, the artwork remains lost to this day. No one knows exactly what Noisette took, or if indeed she took anything. In any case, Noisette was terribly hurt that the city she loved had turned on her like that. After her trial, she told the press that the truth of what she'd done during the war resided in her and in the person and place she loved the most. And that was that. She never spoke of her wartime activities again. I assume that the person she was referring to was Hans von Schwesterkrank, who passed away a year or two ago, and that the place was her beloved Moulin, which is why I'm hoping Manette will allow me to visit it. Now, I've got a question for you. In the hours before she died, Noisette was said to have constantly muttered 3 words. Red, left, green. Is there anything inside the Moulin that has to do with red, left, green? Anything at all?
No, but I'll keep that in mind and let you know if I see something.
I'd appreciate it. Any other questions?
What was the French resistance?
That was the name given to the various groups of men and women who did their best to undermine Germany's military occupation of France during World War II. Some would engage in strikes and sabotage, while others would collect and pass intelligence along to the Allies. Needless to say, their operations were highly covert and very
I read a
dangerous.
short story
What
about
else
it
can
in
you
France.
tell me about the German
French.
occupation of Paris?
The German army entered Paris on June 14th, 1940.
History
And
lesson.
after France formally surrendered on June 22nd, the Germans controlled the city. They took whatever they wanted. food, supplies, houses, artwork, and dictated how Parisians were to live their lives. Naturally, their presence was deeply resented. Some people ignored the situation as best they could. Some collaborated with the Germans, while others, like those in the resistance, fought back until the city was finally liberated on August 25th, 1944.
After the war, when she was the director of public works, what kind of things did Noisette do?
She oversaw many of the services which the citizens of Paris enjoyed every day. Streets, bridges, parks, their maintenance all came under Noisette's purview. She particularly enjoyed putting various forms of art on permanent display in various public places, especially parks.
What's the story behind the Cross of Lorraine?
The vertical bar crossed by two horizontal bars is an emblem that was first used by Joan of Arc, as well as the Dukes of Lorraine in the 15th century. But during and after World War II, it became a symbol of the French resistance. Nowadays, it's not unusual to see it on statues or monuments commemorating the period in French history from 1940 to 1945.
What did you mean when you said Noisette was tried as a collaborator?
Collaborators were French citizens who not only failed to resist the occupation, but actually helped the Germans keep it going. Because Noisette had worked for the Germans as a translator and had a German boyfriend, after the war, many of her countrymen automatically accused her of collaboration. When it was revealed that she had been a member of the resistance, instead of exonerating her, that just made some people think she'd been spying for the Germans too. As I said before, it was an ugly time, one which poor Noisette spent the rest of her life trying to forget.
Do you know anything about the M380 decoder?
It's a machine that the resistance is said to have used to encode and decode their messages during the war. To decode a message, the dials on it had to be in the same position as they were when the message was encoded. The famous Enigma machine operated in much the same way.
The famous what?
The Enigma machine is what the Germans used to encipher and decipher their secret messages during World War II. Allied codebreakers were finally able to figure out how the machine worked, and as a result, some say the war ended 2 years sooner than it would have otherwise.
How likely is it that Noisette used an M380 decoder?
I would stake my reputation on it.
I really appreciate your help.
My pleasure. Bye.
Okay, so you've been learning things.
That's finished. Check. Been there, done that. That's finished.
So now it looks like we're gonna have to travel around. Blue door. You still in there?
Mr. von Schwesterkrank? Are you in there?
Who's there?
Nancy Drew. I just wanted to ask you some questions.
I'm very busy. You'll have to come back.
But this is really important. Is there anything I can do to help you?
Well, if you want, you could take some stock photos for me.
Sure.
The list of things I need pictures of is on my desk. You can use the camera I'll let you borrow.
I'll get right on it.
The camera Nancy took. I'm right here. Yeah.
Oh no, the list is in French.
It's okay. It says stapler, skull, candle, spider, cross, teapot. I know what the spider was. Yeah, okay, I'm gonna end the video and then we'll do the list in a